Good morning from the CNET New Studios. It is Wednesday, March 1st, my dudes, and it's time for episode 187 of the 359 podcast. And on today's show, hosted by Alfred, we feature our good friend David Katzmaier back from a long hiatus.
It's been way too long.
Way too long since you've been on the show.
I know, I love it.
Alfred, how you doing? What are you doing on the show today?
Today we're going to be talking about YouTube TV.
Yeah.
It's very meta right now. YouTube decided that it wants a piece of the cord cutter action, so we're going to take a look at if it's actually worth getting for $35 a month. And also, Motorola deciding they're not giving up on modular phones. So that should be interesting to look at. Personally, I've never put a mod on my phone, but I'm interested in it, so...
Who doesn't like Legos?
I mean, if it worked like Legos, I would totally get that, but it's this whole thing. I'm just not interested in it that much.
Yeah.
But Motorola loves them, and they're pressing on with them.
That could be their niche.
I mean,
Gotta
it's got to be their niche because no one else is doing it.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into the show, recording the 4-minute podcast, or to be more deadly accurate, 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
Exactly.
Please go ahead and submit your comments and questions. We're interested to see what everyone's perspective is. If you would be a subscriber to YouTube TV, if you yourself mod your phone, or would mod your phone more accurately. And we'll be back to hit you up in the chat in exactly 3 minutes and 59 seconds from 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359, where we talk about the top tech news of the day. I'm Alfred.
I'm David Katzmaier.
YouTube announced yesterday it would be launching its own live TV channels for $35 a month, taking on services like Sling TV, DirecTV Now, PlayStation View, not to mention, traditional cable companies. You get unlimited cloud DVR and you can watch across all your devices, but what I'm wondering is, there's so many different services out there already. What advantages does YouTube have over its competitors?
The big one is it's YouTube. So, everybody knows YouTube. YouTube streamed 1 billion hours a day that recently announced. So they are huge, and they're bigger than any of those others you mentioned. So YouTube has the potential, to get that brand recognition. People who know YouTube say, you know what, I'll just try it out for $35 a month. If I don't like it, I can always quit. And that's really the main benefit of all these guys.
But, whoa.
Sorry.
I mean, what I'm wondering though is, but when it comes to services, how does that work? Does it have advantages in terms of that? I know that YouTube is a much bigger name than all its competitors,
Yep.
but what can it actually provide me? I'm not a name brand guy.
Yeah. So once you've cut through the name thing, you look at the 4 services now if you include YouTube, and the main differentiator for YouTube is that cloud DVR. So the other 2 main services, DirecTV Now and Sling, don't offer the cloud DVR. PlayStation View does, but it's reportedly less popular. So that right there is really cool. You can basically pretend that you have a DVR, except it's in the cloud. If YouTube does it well, it'll be a great service so to have all that storage. And they haven't announced the numbers or anything like that, but basically you just save all these shows to watch later on your own time, which is really cool. The second big thing with YouTube is that you do have simultaneous streams. So they announced that you can do 3 simultaneous streams at once. Other services, PlayStation View offers that. DirecTV Now does too as well. You can have a bunch of people sign into the service at once, where Sling TV only allows you to do 1 simultaneous stream. So if somebody starts watching another part of the house, that $20 a month service cuts off. But Sling does have a second tier where you can add those simultaneous streams. So we'll know more later, but right now YouTube has announced local TV channels in a bunch of different markets, and they're going to launch major markets early, and you get your major channels. But they do have some holes in the thing. For example, there's no CNN. There's a couple of other channels missing, so they might add those before they launch.
Well, on that note, with the lack of channels, in terms of price range versus what you get, how does YouTube TV compare to its competitors, especially for cord cutters who are looking to save every cent?
Yeah, we don't know yet. Again, with cord cutters, Sling TV is really popular because it allows you to kind of slice and dice. It has the fewest channels, but also the cheapest, $20 a month. DirecTV Now has a lot of different channels, and they have generally really good channel coverage. But they've been some technical difficulties with that service, so you got to kind of look at the channels again. YouTube hasn't launched yet; they haven't been finalized yet about their channel service, so we don't know how exactly they stack up. But I think they're going to be pretty good when they finally launch.
All right, on the next note, we've got some news coming out of Barcelona. Motorola is not giving up on its mods, which is a key feature of its phones, especially the Moto Z. It's been one of the more innovative moves for phones in recent memory. On Sunday, Motorola showed off a new power pack, another mod that you can attach on to bring Alexa onto your device, and another one with a gamepad for mobile gaming. Do you see this as a risky move, as something that people would actually buy, or is it hasn't really caught on with any other companies?
Yeah, I think there's a reason for that. I mean, personally, I don't use even a case on my phone. Once you start adding different things to your phone, you go, where's the cost benefit here? Usually the base phone is the selling point. So, until they can get some popularity there, the real problem is that they're competing against, Samsung, Apple, everybody else that has a lot better market share. So it's going to be tough. I think LG floated some mods on their phones for a little while. Maybe something that can really get your battery up without making the phone too bulky would be really cool. But beyond that, I don't really know that people want that kind of stuff.
I mean, I think it's interesting. I think, Android users have always wanted to mod their phones. I think that's why they prefer Android over iPhones, where they can, put all these different widgets and things like that on their screens. But now it's coming down to hardware. So if you like this story, please check us out on CNET.com. Thanks for listening.
All right. I, for one, am hella on board with YouTube TV.
Nice.
Just as an avid user, I've been a cord cutter for a long time, loud and proud. But we've got some good questions in the chat about comparing it side by side. So for a lot of people like myself and like Matthew in the chat, we've already got Netflix, paid Amazon, paid Hulu, and then like at best maybe a pair of rabbit ears in the house kind of thing.
That's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, and the question is, does live TV appeal to people still? Like now, when you think about TV, it's not live. It's I want to watch what I want to watch when I want to watch, totally on demand, whether it's from a DVR or whatever. And I think that's maybe where the cloud DVR comes in, because you set up your shows to record all the time. They're always going to be available. You don't have to do some searching for them. You don't have to come up empty. I mean, if you get the channels, you can record the shows on DVR. So that's pretty cool. If they make the interface as easy to use as Netflix, something like that, I think that's a big deal. A lot of times YouTube is pretty overwhelming with the amount of stuff that they throw at you, and finding what you want to watch is pretty tough. One of the interesting
But
things
that's YouTube proper. Would you think they'd kind of refine YouTube TV into its own identity?
You'd think, but what I was about to say, one of the things that they announced is that they're actually going to integrate search results from regular YouTube. So you search, for NCIS or a regular network show, and you're going to get not only the results from YouTube TV, you're also going to get countless clips or whatever that use that search term. So you're going to get all that at once. It's going to feel a little bit like a fire hose. They're going to have to do a really good job of keeping that manageable and not overwhelming.
I think it'd be interesting if you could watch live TV without having to DVR it through the search function. Like if I wanted to watch an episode of Jeopardy that aired yesterday, but I didn't personally record it, like it'd be able to go back and then put that on as if it were live TV.
And that's that's available on a lot of these other services, like the Sling TVs. They allow you to do what they call like a 72-hour jump back, where if something aired in the last period of time, you can go back and immediately do it, whether or not you recorded it.
And that's kind of the antithesis of Hulu, who make you wait an extra X amount of days before recently broadcast can be made available to you.
Yep. Hulu's got the 24-hour delay at least. A lot of times, though, it's contractually negotiated, so we'll see what happens. But bringing up Hulu, I think they're said that they're coming out with another live TV service later this year. So
yeah, they mentioned that
to
a few months ago, right?
Yeah, so I got a good look at that at CES in January, and I was really impressed because Hulu obviously is the king of the on-demand shows that you want right now. So Netflix doesn't have current shows generally. Amazon, you got to pay individually for them. So you got Prime is again not necessarily current shows, but with Hulu really rules that niche. And if they can combine their awesome on-demand library with this live TV service and make it all great, then you can cancel that other stuff. I mean, that's the real goal here. Is if you're a cord cutter, you don't want to pay for 3 or 4 different services. And again, adding something like a YouTube Live for $35 a month, that's a big ask. If Netflix costs 15 or less.
Now, to just clarify to some latecomers to the chat, this is different than YouTube Red.
Yep.
This is about YouTube itself becoming
it's live.
A cable network.
Yeah, sorry. This is YouTube giving you ABC, NBC, Fox, all of these channels.
Versions of those channels.
Yep, absolutely. And so these are live. You turn it on, you get your local news, for example. You get, you can get the news services. You get Fox Sports. Looking here, they got golf. They got National Geographic. So, there's all these services there. Of course, it's not as much as your normal cable TV live service has. It's not even as much as DirecTV Now and PlayStation View right now. They're still in negotiations. So they still got to tie down deals with, for example, CNN and TNT and these big cable services they don't have yet.
Right. And Dwight in the chat, he's pointing out YouTube has already had a robust experience with live broadcasting, but it's different. This is actually about carrying official network channels through a YouTube streaming service in real time.
Yep. This is just like regular cable TV.
Official commercial television coming to you via a YouTube portal.
Yeah, and one of the things I didn't get to on the podcast, but is a big deal for YouTube, is obviously it's all about mobile. So everybody watches YouTube on their phone. So the idea here is you'll be able to watch all these live channels streaming on your phone too. Again, the same thing that Sling TV and all those other guys offer. And they're going to obviously, I think, when they first launch, accent mobile. The only device they mentioned for TV that will carry it at launch is Chromecast, which makes sense because Google makes it. And Chromecast and YouTube are really easy to use together. I mean, that's one of the quintessential Chromecast experiences. You have like a phone, and everybody can log in to the Chromecast on the big TV, and everybody can pass around the phone and throw big videos up there and everything like that. You'll be able to do the same thing with YouTube TV. And it's a pretty intriguing marriage between YouTube and all the videos that they're known for and this live TV thing. I think it'd be really cool.
Danny in the chat is asking if it's 100% pre-bundled services or how much a la carte do you think they'll allow?
Zero, Danny. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. They have, like I said, they're launching with Disney, ESPN, NBC, CBS, Fox, the Weather Channel. So you get a handful of channels,
Largely similar to a Sling TV package, really.
Absolutely. So again, you're going to have to compare these quote unquote skinny bundles. It's skinny because it's cheaper than cable and there's fewer channels, but it's still a bundle. There's no a la carte yet. I mean, the exception, of course, is premium channels. Showtime they've announced for YouTube. They don't have HBO yet, interestingly enough, but I think they probably will by the time they launch.
You don't think HBO would play that close to the chest with HBO Go and all that?
Well, HBO is also on these other channels too. So you can, as a View subscriber, you can get an HBO package. Same thing with Sling. So they're already playing ball with the other competitors, and the reason why they wouldn't already do it with YouTube too.
As long as they can charge for a premium.
Yes, they're all those things are $15 a month.
What I'm wondering is, when you're subscribed to a cable company, you can kind of log into another website using your cable subscription. You can just live stream it through there.
Right.
Kinda
Or
like-
somebody else's cable subscription.
Yeah, pretty much. So what I'm wondering is, if I have a YouTube TV subscription, would I be able to theoretically be able to do that if I wanted to watch, I don't know, the FXX like marathon?
Yeah.
Or
So
something?
that's
Yeah.
another little weird thing that happens with all these services. So that's called authentication. And the idea is, if you're a subscriber with cable TV and you're, ESPN, you can always log on to ESPN Now and watch stuff from there. They have a great ESPN Now is really good. But, you got to have the cable authentication.
Yeah.
So PlayStation View is really good about offering authentication for almost all the channels that they support. So you can watch those apps really well with View. Sling TV, on the other hand, only has a handful. They have a bunch of channels that should support authentication, like TNT, a lot of sports stuff, but they don't actually do it. I think ESPN is the exception. So that's still up in the air. With YouTube TV, if they're smart, yes, they'll support authentication for all the channels that they offer. All that stuff is part of their negotiations. So, to turn the green light on for that kind of capability is still up in the air. A lot of times you got to go and check it out yourself. A lot of times, they don't offer as much authentication as they should.
Tyler in the chat wants to know, do you think that fiber would play any part into this service?
Good question. Maybe they do a bundle or whatever. Google Fiber is pretty limited in its availability, but again,
It's been kind of stalled, right?
yeah. And I feel like they've backed off it a little bit. But again, YouTube TV won't be available nationwide either when it launches. It's going to be restricted to the major markets where they're able to get Fox, NBC, ABC affiliates and CBS to sign on. So I think that's the real limiting factor. That's historically which probably stopped Apple from rolling out a similar live TV service. And it's there's a lot of these other services I mentioned do offer those local channels, but only in specific markets.
I'm just kind of interested how it would play out. It's definitely got my attention just as, like I said, a cord cutter, but it would be kind of nice to be able to go back to the art of flipping. I forgot what that was like,
But would you even be
channels.
doing that, though, with YouTube TV, though? If it's Chromecast, it's not like is that how you'd be flipping it with
I
your
would hope
phone?
that
Yeah.
would be kind of part of the experience because that seems kind of quintessential.
Yeah. That's what I was just wondering.
Like I get plenty of satisfaction of the programming. I enjoy so many non-red YouTube channels for original content. But I'd love to watch like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in real time kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just being the comic book geek that I am, but
Yeah.
I haven't done that ever.
Yeah.
So bringing that experience back into my life without having to pay, let's leave the corporate names out of cable services, some of which we have expressed prior disinterest in. That would be nice.
I thought Agents...
I think you said $35.
Yeah. So
That's a fair price.
And if you watch enough live TV to justify that price, then yeah, you're in good shape. And again, if you really want that, look at Sling because they start at $20 a month and see if they got enough channels for you because that's a big savings.
And I enjoyed the Sling. I did trial Sling,
Yep.
but I legitimately was able to kind of step back and I'm still not using it as much as I probably
Yeah.
should to
Yep.
justify paying for it.
And a lot of people are in that boat where it's all about what habits you have, what shows you want, whether you want to sit down and do it, and also family members. Like I got a wife and kids, and my wife can't live without Bravo, so that's a consideration for a lot of people too. It's like, do they offer the stuff that my family does, and that's where this whole simultaneous streams comes in. So again, Sling, the base package for $20 a month, you can only watch one at a time. So somebody in another part of the house, or even on another phone or something, turns on a stream on the same channel, yours turns off.
Yeah.
So one of the things that YouTube negotiated is this ability to watch 3 simultaneous streams for the $35 a month. Again, View and DirecTV also allow those simultaneous streams. So
Is it also 3 for them?
View is up to 5, and I think DirecTV now is 2 for their
Okay.
base package. So those are all contractually negotiated with all the guys. So again, those details are pretty important, and they're the kind of thing where you discover at the end of the day, like, wow, this isn't exactly like cable TV. There's a lot of restrictions here. There's other restrictions on mobile, for example. NFL games are highly restricted.
Yep.
There's a lot of things out there that aren't really an issue with cable TV that you got to consider with all these services.
A lot of people in the chat are bringing up antennas and how playing with local channels.
Yep.
Couple things on that. Antennas are fantastic. I myself have a pair of rabbit ears, but I
Yep.
live in a basement apartment and my reception is crap.
Yep.
And that's a lot of times the problem with that service. Even when you get an extender or the higher, better antennas, the outdoor antennas, you're still kind of screwed to a certain extent in certain markets. Local channels would be included in the YouTube TV, but I'd be curious. You know what would be kind of cool is if you could change your locality, right?
Right.
So for those of us who maybe grew up in a place, now live in a different place, if I could tune back in and get my hometown for a minute, that'd be kind of neat, right?
No.
Yeah, I did.
That's a
think
big
so.
negatory.
Yeah.
They would offer. They probably offer a la carte before they offered that. It's
Touché.
again, that's a negotiation thing, and these guys want you to see the things that you want to see. Think of it similar to out of market restrictions for MLB.com, where you can't watch your local team using streaming, although sometimes you can now with authentication. But at the end of the day, those things are pretty highly regulated.
That should
it'd
just be
cool.
another premium level, though. Like throw extra $5 in and get
mean,
another market.
And
The workaround for that is to go to your local news channel's website and then just Chromecast the entire tab.
Touche.
I've done that.
But I'm from a tiny town where that's not website. They barely have a TV channel.
they're uploading, the 5600 baud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a dial-up modem.
That's right.
They're still on the 2012 election right now.
All right. That's just curious to see where this is going to go. I think that's probably a good spot to leave it for the day. We're just about out of time. Thank you, David.
Anytime.
Thank you, Alfred. Let's tell them where to find this.
Well, if you liked what you heard here, the 359 podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, FeedBurner, Google Play Music, and of course, CNET.com.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.